How's it going, folks? Robbie, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to do another car rivalries video on Forza Horizon 5. We've got two classic Aussie utes on the screen. We've got the HSV Maloo and the Ford Pursuit ute. We're going to check them both out, put them against each other on the track, see which one is better. Let's continue the argument that has happened at many pubs across Australia over the year. Ford versus Holden. All right, let's start with the 2014 HSV Gen F Maloo. Basically is what happens when you take a work ute and turn it into essentially a V8 supercar for the road. Now, for those of you who don't know, Maloo is an Aboriginal word meaning thunder, and when you hear one of these start up, it kind of makes a bit of sense. Under the bonnet, you got a 6.2 litre supercharged V8 that comes from a Chevy Corvette. Lazy 577 horsepower. This is rear-wheel drive as expected. It is ridiculous horsepower numbers for a ute. Anyone that's driven a ute with high horsepower, it is going to be a handful. Like I had a VYSS with cam work done years ago, and she was a handful, especially in the wet. Power goes to the rear wheels. Like I said, this will absolutely light up the tyres, so you got to be very careful around the throttle, going around the corners. We'll get onto performance a bit later in the video. Now, it's not just about power. HSV upgraded the suspension, gave it some bigger brakes so it was more stable and does handle better. Visually, it's a little bit more aggressive in my opinion compared to the Ford. It is a little bit heavier, 1,830 kilograms. I love looking inside these older cars too. Older cars, 2014. It is very refreshing to see an interior that's not filled with a dozen touchscreens like we get on these little toy cars we get these days. Much better. I love the look of these old things. It's just a sad that Australia stopped making them. Second car we're going to look at is the Ford FPV Pursuit Ute from 2014. Not as bonkers as the HSV, but still an awesome little V8 ute in its own right. A little bit more subtle, not as over the top as HSV's gone. Now, powering the 40s, this 5-litre supercharged V8 makes 442 horsepower in game. When compared to the HSV Maloo, which has got 577, it is a long way down. Like I said, Ford didn't go over the top with horsepower like HSV did. It is still very fast. It sounds good. It does look pretty good. Now, when this first came out, I wasn't a massive fan of them. It took me a little while to get used to the look of them. I think it's all coming down to the headlights, the raccoon-style lights, but over the years, it has grown on me. I do quite like the look of these things now. It's a little bit lighter than the HSV at 1,790 kilograms, which I'm hoping will help it later on because it is down on power, but being a little bit lighter, maybe that'll help it utilize its power better. Well, let's find out. Let's take it to the track and see what they can do. First up, we're going to do a high-speed braking test and then head over to the drag strip. All right, first up for the brake test, Ford on the left, HSV on the right, 150 k's down to 0. The HSV took 44 meters, where the Ford was surprisingly slower at 54 meters. That is not good. All right, we're on the drag strip now. See what these things can do down the road. Proper bragging rights. Now off the line, the HSV on the left does 0 to 100 in 4 seconds. The Ford is 5 seconds, a little bit slower, 0 to 161 k's an hour, which is 100 miles an hour. The HSV is 8.9, where the Ford is a little bit slower, 11 seconds, but it is down a lot on horsepower. Coming up to the 1 mile bridge right now, the Ford goes through at 21.7, with the HSV's 20.3. However, before we get onto the track, if you run these things down a straight line, the Ford is 280k top of speed, where the Holden is topping out at 277, and that all comes down to gear ratios. The HSV suffers from a really bad setup default in the game, but around the racetrack here, we brought this to one of my favorite tracks on the Mexico map. It's got a good flow to it. Both of these cars gave them a bunch of laps, then into starting lap to see what they're like. Overall, the Ford's going to struggle because it is so far down on horsepower. That is going to play a difference. The HSV is a little bit heavier. They do handle pretty much the same. They're rear-wheel drive utes. They're going to slide around if you put on the power too much, but the problem really hurts this Falcon is the fact that it doesn't have as good as brakes. You can't brake as late, and the HSV Maloo on the left, the green one, just has way too much power, and it does pull away comfortably. You can see already we're a little over the halfway mark, and already the HSV is considerably in front. And I gave the Ford a little bit more time driving it, hoping I can coax some more speed out of it. But as you can see, it is getting absolutely crushed. I thought this would be a lot closer. I thought it being a lighter would make a difference. But sadly, it was a little bit slower, as you can see, compared to the HSV. It is over 4 seconds slower. And as you can tell, that is not a very large lap too. I was very, very surprised. You know, I thought maybe a second or two, but 4, that is quite a lot. Even compared to the Ferrari and the Porsche, not really a rivalry. But when you're driving Aussie cars, you got to bring them back home. Back here on Byron Bay on Horizon 3, doing some burnouts where you're meant to do it before the cops come and bust you and take your car and crush it, because that is what Australia does. We suck it. We've got a great car culture. We've got shitty cops that ruin it though. Anyway, so we're going to finish it here. Thanks for watching. I'm Rob. Hope you enjoyed. Back on Horizon 3, as you can see, if you've been following the channel the last few, or at least week or so, I've been playing a bit of Horizon 1. I plan on playing Horizon 1, 2, 3, and 4 leading up to Horizon 6 coming out in a couple of months' time. I'm about halfway through a little playthrough of Horizon 1, so starting mid next week, I'll be starting some videos on Horizon 2. I haven't played that in ages. Then I'll be going back and playing Horizon 3 again and 4. Just a refresh on the series, have a bit of fun, explore the maps again, and then we're going to play Horizon 6 when it drops. So that is the HSV versus Ford. Awesome. Australian cars are just really sad we don't make them anymore, but we get to play them out on Horizon, and it's good to be back on the beach again. Proper good looking beach, unlike the crap we get at Mexico map. But I'm Rob, cheers for watching. I'll see you in the next one.